This cultural participants. This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, you guys are on your own. I'm gonna mute.
All right, let me find the thing. Yeah.
Okay, once you guys hit the got it button, you can go. I'm gonna
Yep.
hit mute and go away.
I just did it. Yep. Well, hello everyone. How you guys doing? Everybody okay? All right, let me magnify my screen so I have some kind of something here I can look at a little bit. All right. So it's been a long time. I'm 2 weeks late on this class because I got sick. And so we decided to cancel it last month on the 24th, I believe. And so we're doing it today, 2 weeks later. And then there's going to be another class 2 weeks down the road. Then that'll be November's class on the 21st at 6:30 p.m. And then we're going to take a break in December. And then we'll be back in action in January. Is that right, Barbara? Did I get that right? Okay, I assume it's right. So let's see here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I can't hear you guys too well. I just didn't know if I was quiet. So I've been doing a lot of testing on the newest version of iOS. And you guys can put that on at any time, 17.1. And it's fine. They went through 3 minor updates in a month and a half, and they worked out what I feel is all of the bugs, or at least almost all of them. There's nothing in there that's a showstopper like it was last year. So you could easily go ahead and update to 17.1, or you could wait around for 17.2, which is coming very soon, maybe another week or a few days or something. So and being that the .2 is a minor update, it shouldn't break functionality, famous last words. So we should be okay there to do that. All right. Any questions about 17.1 or 17, or any worries about upgrading? All right, so we'll go to the next thing here. And the next thing in the news items that I have is that Netflix is just announced that they're getting out of the DVD business. You can no longer request physical movies anymore to be shipped to you, and then you would ship them back. And they're completely a streaming service now.
I thought they stopped that a long time ago.
That was just recently announced. They were still doing it, and most people are streaming anyway. But they decided to actually formally announce that this last month, October. So anyway, it's been dead for a while anyway. I mean, I don't even know the last time I rented a DVD. Must have been many years ago. So that's what's going on with Netflix. The other thing that's going on with Netflix too, by the way, I don't know if I wrote it down here or not, but they are going to increase the price of their commercial-free tiers.
No.
Yeah, so for example, they have a commercial tier where you get commercials, and that is like $7 a month. And then the next one above that is currently 10, and that's just for standard definition kind of streaming, which is what I'm doing. And that's going to increase to 12, $11.99. And I think the other tiers above that accordingly will go up by $2. So that's progress, I guess. So Netflix is going to increase their prices. Also, while we're on that subject, Amazon they're not going to increase their prices. They're going to pull a fast one on us for the Prime stuff that you get commercial free. If you want to stay commercial free, you're going to have to pay extra each month for that. So I think they're going to include a $2 surcharge if you want to stay commercial free. Otherwise, the programs that you're enjoying now without commercials will have commercials. And I think that's happening next year, early next year. So that's what's happening with the Amazon subscription service. And any questions on that on Amazon or Netflix? All right, moving right along.
Hey,
Yeah.
I had one thing on Netflix. Have anybody seen the new series about the blind girl?
No.
No? It's actually pretty good.
You know what it's called?
Patty, what is it about?
It's about her going blind. And it's actually pretty cool. It's they're actually it was endorsed by a lot of I don't want to say I don't want to say what organizations, but I guess it was endorsed by a lot of blind organizations, and they're encouraging people to watch so that they could put more movies like it with people with disabilities.
And what was the title of it again?
I have to go into my
It's something about
Netflix.
who's light.
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, something seeing the light or yeah, something like that.
I'll include that name in the notes that I publish. I'll make sure that
Okay.
name is in there. So,
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, there's 4 episodes in that mini series.
Mm-hmm.
well, sounds great. I definitely look at that one. Thanks, Patty. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last excuse me, the last item in my news area is Apple just had a Halloween event and they named it real funny, Scary Fast Mac event. And what that was is their computer line, their desktop computers. They were just featuring the new ones for, I guess, the Christmas season. They just announced a bunch of them, and the big takeaway in that event was the ones that have the new M3 processor, which is very similar to the technology we're using in the Apple iPhone 15 Pro with that 3 nanometer technology I was talking about last month. I don't know if you remember that. Anyway, that same technology, a different chip though, is going to be put into their desktop line of products, and we're going to notice, better performance and less power usage, meaning they'll run cooler and faster because of the technology. So that was basically it. Probably doesn't mean much to most of us because I don't know too many of us that have the Mac computers. I do, and I have one with an M2 chip, and I noticed that was incredibly fast compared to the previous ones. And especially the Intel processor they used to have. The Apple CPUs are way faster. So anyway, just a little food for thought there if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And I also can run Windows on my little Mac machine via Parallels, which is really cool. So I have a Windows 11 installation on my Mac, and it runs great, very fast. And that's good when I'm doing like intensive stuff that takes a while. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So,
I was gonna make a comment about 17 that I've noticed. I have a 10R phone, and it's speeded up. It seems to be faster. I keep telling Manny, it feels like it's brand new. And I, like I said, I have noticed nothing wrong with it, like the last time. So they did their work this time.
Yeah, they made some improvements. I'm going to talk about a few of them a little bit later. But one of the things that I really like is that, excuse me, that Siri now responds very, very well and consistently. Because before, when I'd call her, I wouldn't hear the ding, or I wouldn't hear her say or whatever she does on my phone. But actually, Barbara's phone would do it. There was some kind of inconsistencies going on here. They fixed all that. And there's even more to that story when I get down to that section of the notes. And then the other thing I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this too, Patty, the haptic feedback, the thumps you feel when it
Mhm.
bumps.
Yes, that's
they're
what I was saying. Mine feels like it's brand new because of
Yeah.
that.
So they're really responsive now. And that's why I like this 17.1 update. Somebody put a little thought into usability and not just new features just being blasted out there. So
Mhm.
that's why I've been very, very good about telling you guys, go ahead now, because this looks pretty good, and you should have no problems. And of course, you've got to have an iPhone 10R or above to update. And various features will be available depending on the model of phone that you have. Like phones with LiDAR have a whole breadth of new features. Phones without will have those features restricted. So stuff like that will be in play. And of course, the processor generation, the older ones have older processors, so they can't do some of the stuff the newer ones do. So, but on average, that should work very well through the whole product line, all the SE models, and all of the iPhones from 10R to the 15 Pro Max. So, any questions on that? All right. So in the excuse me, in the emerging technologies segment, I've been reading about this, and I think even Barbara sent an email out about this, and it's about these driverless vehicles in Phoenix. Uber has partnered with Google's parent company, Alphabet, and they make this. They're called Waymo, the car division. And what they're doing in Phoenix, in that market, is when you request an Uber ride, they'll try to match you with a driverless vehicle. So you can imagine a car pulling up with no driver in it. And of course, you have the option when you book the ride to request a person. You can say, I want a regular driver vehicle. But they're rolling that out and testing it in Phoenix. And there's been sort of mixed successes with this driverless technology. In San Francisco, I was reading the article, they were having problems with, if you can believe it, a driverless vehicle doing a hit and run. I don't know how that happened. That's so crazy. But I guess the technology, it didn't stop. I guess it wasn't programmed to stop. There was another thing where there was a fire hose in an intersection there, and the car kept heading towards it and not stopping, and it was trying to run over the fire hose. So they got little things to work out with these driverless vehicles. But on average, they seem to be working fairly well. So, yeah.
I was just thinking I could see us, I get in an Uber. I just came over here and I get in an Uber and I'm like, I start talking to the driver and what if nobody answers me?
Can you walk me to the door? Kind of
I know, I'll be like, hi, driver, blah, blah, is your name this and that? And nobody would answer me.
I think that's going to be a hard thing for me to get used to, because I'm an old guy, and I don't know, man. I like technology, but I'm not willing to put my life on the line, so to speak.
Me
I have a human
too.
in there, but I think that's where it's going. So it's not up to me. So
Wow.
that's my emerging technologies segment. So, any questions on that? All right.
No.
Nobody wants to buy a car and have it drive for them instead
Yeah,
of.
I wonder how much they are.
I don't know.
If we have to ask.
All right, so I'm going to get to the topics. So my first one I want to talk about is a new features in iOS 17, specifically the S Lady. So when you upgrade to iOS 17, you no longer have to say the hey keyword with it. You could just say the S Lady word. And I don't say it because I want my phone to get crazy over here. So and that's one of the changes. And you could still use hey and then S lady. It'll just listen to the second word instead of the first. But I think the reason I'm bringing it up as a topic is because they now have built in the ability for her to listen to follow-up questions. And what I mean by that is you can ask it a question, something like, what's the weather? And then she'll give you the answer, and then she'll still listen for another question. You don't have to reinitialize her again. So you would say, what's the weather? She tells you the weather, and then you can say, oh, is it going to be any rain? And then she'll tell you that answer, and she'll still listen for a little while after in case you have any follow-up questions for her. So it kind of gives it
Yes.
more. What's
So
that?
that's what I was gonna tell you. That have you noticed that? Because
Yes.
I asked her something, and then I texted you with the same within the same when I called her up.
Yeah.
And so I was able to ask her the time, the date, and then I texted you. So it was 3 things within one, hey, whatever.
Yes. Yes. I think that was a smart move because I get so tired of having to reinitialize her once she responds. And
Mm-hmm.
and in this way, I think the phones are becoming more automated, more smart, if you want to use that word. And they're just better tools for us. I'm gonna show you guys how that works. I'm gonna prove it to you right now, unless it embarrasses me like it always does. Let me see.
6:56 p.m.
All right, let me get my phone opened up. Get it going.
Recycle code. Recycle coach. Recycle coach.
Can you guys hear that okay?
Recycle coach.
There we go. Okay. I think
Yes,
that's-
recycle coach.
Okay. So I'm gonna do the example. I'm gonna ask what the weather forecast is, and then when she's done, without saying her name again, I'm gonna ask if there's any rain in the forecast. So let's see what happens. So I'm gonna just say the one word, not both. Siri, what's the weather forecast?
Should be sunny today. Daytime temperatures will hover around 91 degrees, with overnight lows around 57.
Well, is there any rain in the forecast?
It doesn't look like it's going to rain today.
And that's an example of that. And you could follow up with 10 questions. She will time out after a little bit of time, but she doesn't time out immediately, which is really cool. So if you got a few questions on your mind, just fire them off one after another. So that's what you get with 17. That's one of the features in 17. Okay. Any questions on the S lady and what she does? Also, if you notice, when I called her, I heard her say, That wasn't happening before. On my phone, it was quiet, and it would never say anything. It would just come up with the little symbol, and I'd have to strain to see if it's listening to me. Now it says, or whatever. So I think I like that. Okay, so let's get to the second topic. Oh, and this one is called Say Cheese. I don't know if you guys remembered us talking about that before. And what it is, it's a shortcut that's built into your phone. And when you're pointing your phone somewhere and you call up the S lady and you tell it to say cheese, she will snap the picture. So I'm going to demonstrate that now. I'm just going to point it at the monitor, I guess. So I go, Siri, say cheese.
Say cheese is taking a photo. Calendar, Tuesday.
So with voiceover on, I got a notification that said Say Cheese is taking a photo, and it took it. It made you didn't hear it because it's so quiet, but the shutter went off and went like that, and it took a picture. Now, the only caveat about this is that if you're using the camera app, it doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to allow you to just focus it. Let's say you're taking a picture. Let's say I'm taking a picture of Patty, and I'm listening to voiceover while I'm trying to frame her head in the middle of the screen of the viewport here, and it says, okay,
Screen dim.
upper left and then centered. Then I can't just tell it to just say cheese. What I have to do is have my finger on one of the volume buttons, And when it says centered, I just push it real quick and it takes the picture. That's the way you can do that without having to look for a shutter button on the screen or move it around too much to try to get it to take the picture.
That would be better. God.
Yeah, the volume buttons work as the shutter as well, and that works in what you call it, photo mode, or if you're doing video too. Now I think I haven't checked this out, but correct me if I'm wrong, Patty. Did they update the selectors for photo and video in the camera app? I thought they did, and I don't know if they did.
So when I just did it the first day when I updated, remember I got all excited because I'm always having trouble with the video. It was right there when I opened the camera. It gave me like a list instead of giving me the little buttons. It gave me a list, and so I could push camera or video or whatever. But it didn't stay like that. I was so excited because I thought, oh, this will be great, because when you open the camera, you could make a choice right there on the list.
I see.
So
Okay.
I don't know why it disappeared. It just did it once and then it was gone. It's back to the normal.
Oh, I'll put a pin in that one and take a look at that, because I think that would be interesting for us to have big controls to switch between video and photos.
Yeah, but
instead of that.
it wasn't even buttons. It was a list. Like there were 3 things that you could swipe left and right, and it was like a list. And
Oh,
I
I
thought,
see.
oh my God, that's gonna be so great, but it just went away.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'll have to take a look at that then. Oh,
Um,
sorry, guys, I thought we had something there.
Manny,
Yeah,
one thing we discovered that when you go to take a picture, you have to have the finger already on the volume button,
right.
and it doesn't make any sound. That was the only problem I had with it.
That's correct.
It
That's
doesn't make
exactly right.
a shutter sound, so you don't know if you got the picture or not. So I ended up taking 2 pictures. I didn't. Right.
Yeah, so you have to just have faith that when you push the button that the picture was taken, and then the only way you can verify is to go into your photos album and see if it's there. And then, you're right, there should be some kind of feedback there.
Or a sound or something.
Yeah, like a clicking noise or something to let you know, oh yeah, I did take the picture. That might be something I suggest to Apple. I get to make suggestions. I don't think they've done any of my suggestions, or maybe they have, but at least I can tell them and feel better about it. So that's what I do. All right. Any questions on that? The cheese thing, the say cheese?
How do they set that up?
What's that?
How do you set that up? The say cheese. Where is it on your phone?
Oh, it's built in. It's built into your phone. As soon as you do it the first time, Apple actually included it in your phone, so it's already there. And when you tell Siri to do that, she knows to fire off that automation that's been programmed. So you don't have to do anything. You've already got it.
But you have to call up Siri.
That's right. I mean, you could go into shortcuts and look for it in the list, and you say, oh, there it is. It's called Say Cheese. Then you can double tap on it and run it. But I think it's a lot easier just to do it through Siri, to run it that way.
Yeah.
So
the good thing is that you don't have to activate anything. It's just
that's
there.
right. There's no setup. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. If we have, if that's okay, I'm going to hit one that I think Gina wants. I don't know if Gina is online with us tonight, but if not, then she's just going to get it in the notes. And we want to talk about the health app and emergency contacts. So the health app does anybody know what the health app does before I start, or do I need to explain that? What does anybody know what it does?
No.
It keeps track of your steps.
That's part of it, yes. So it is a place where all of your health information is maintained and stored, and then of course you can take that information and turn it into useful data, like steps, like time that you spent exercising or sitting, standing, and things like that. And there are a bunch more. I'm going to go through all of it. So it's broken into two parts. You have the health app, right? And that's the thing that you run. But you also have settings that you need to set up first, too. So you go into settings and you go down to health. And then in those settings, you can set up your personal information, like your name, how tall you are, even your skin tone, or what kind of skin tone you have, because that's relative to exposure to UV radiation. I mean, they track a lot of stuff. And then your weight and this and that. And then you fill out your medical ID, which is basically all of your prescriptions, your doctors, your allergies, your emergency contacts, all that stuff. Now I'm going to go in there and we'll just peruse it real quick, and then we'll get to the fun part of this thing here that's actually inside the health app. So the first thing you do is you're going to open up settings and go down to health. So let me do that.
7:05 p.m. Calendar, Tuesday. No. Home. Cap settings.
I'm in settings.
Settings. Bluetooth.
Scroll down to health.
Roast 13. Roast 23. Freeform. Voice. Phone. Message. Face. Safari. News. Stop. Weather. Translate. Maps. Compass. Measure. Shortcut. Health. Button.
So after shortcuts is health. It's after shortcuts and
Fitness.
and
Button. Health. Fitness.
and there's the fit. There's a new fitness thing that I don't know what it does, but I'm gonna have to save that for the next class. So there's a health settings
button.
right there. So I'm gonna go into that.
Allow health to access. Heading.
So we're gonna go through all of the normal stuff. Just get down to the meat of this.
Siri app notifications. Medical details. Heading.
So this is what I was talking about, medical details. So the first thing is
Health details. Button.
health details, and I push that button, and then you guys are going to hear some of my health details. So
Health detail.
hopefully it's accurate and it doesn't show me as 300 pounds still or something. Let me see.
Detail. Name. Manny.
So it's got, I'll just go through a few things. You don't want to hear all my stuff. It's going to be boring you to death. But let me get down to some of the highlights. We got the name, then we got date of birth. So it knows your age and where you're at in life. It's got your gender. It's got blood type, all that stuff. That is your personal data. Okay, that's what this is called.
Health details.
Health details,
Heading.
that's what they call it. So we go back.
Health. Back up. Health.
And note, you need to fill this out before you start using the health app, because the health app will be no good for you unless you have your stuff filled out. So you're in settings, health, and then the first one was health details, and the second one is called
Medical ID.
medical
Button.
ID. And that's the thing that stores all of the stuff I was talking about before.
Medical ID. Select information.
So it's got my picture on top and my ID.
Manny Celis. 57.
So I don't want to tell you my age, but I'm 57. And,
We all heard it.
yeah. So I'm not going to put all my conditions, because I do have a few and I'm embarrassed about them to put them out in the public. But I have my conditions that I have. Okay, I have a few. And then I have my doctors, their names, and I have my prescriptions, and I have my allergies and my emergency contacts. So what you need to do is fill that out as completely as possible and keep that updated, because if emergency services is called, they're going to check this medical ID and make sure they don't give you something that you're allergic to. If they need to give you something, they're going to see if you're I don't know, if you're a diabetic or something. So this helps them keep you out of trouble, like if you ever need them. And of course, excuse me, anybody that you designate as an emergency contact, it can be one or more, they will be notified that you called emergency services, and they'll be given your location. They could be out of state and they'll know you're in Tucson in a hospital or something, or wherever it is. So it's really important that this information is filled out as completely as possible. And don't worry, this information is stored locally. It doesn't go up anywhere, and it's encrypted. So nobody gets it except the health app and you. So it can't be, well, it shouldn't be lifted off your phone at all. So it is private. Okay, so that is the settings part of the health app. So the actual health app itself,
Screen dimmed.
excuse me, is just a app that you open up. And I'm going to do that now. So let me get out of settings.
Medications. Glyphis settings.
All right. So I almost told you what I'm taking. Let me see here. Siri, open health.
Uh-huh.
All right. So
Don't share my data button.
So the data this is talking about here is not your medical stuff. This data they're talking about is your activity, things like that, like the number of steps and all this good stuff. You can share that stuff with your doctor. You could share, like if you have devices that check your blood sugar and log it in your phone, you can share that. You can share a lot of stuff. I'm gonna show you what part of this application has all that cool stuff in it. And so let me get out of here. Hang on a second.
Don't share my data.
Don't
button.
share my
Don't
data.
share my data.
So there are 3 tabs on the bottom. The only one we care about tonight is the very far right one, and that's called Browse, I believe.
Tab bar. Browse.
So
3 of 3.
I'm gonna tap on that.
Selected.
Now the reason I'm tapping on Browse is so you can kind of get a sense for what is stored, what this thing is actually tracking. And if you get a watch, you can track things like your heart rate. With just a phone with you, you can track things like your steps. You can track a few other things like ambient noise in your environment. If it's too high and it could hurt your hearing, it can tell you, hey, you need to get to quieter places more often. Yeah, I think the watch will actually check exposure to UV radiation. So you get too much sunlight, it can hurt your skin, that kind of stuff. So let me just go through a few of them here so you get an idea of what this thing is actually tracking. So what we have here is, let me get to the list.
Search, dictate, button, health categories, head, activity, button.
All right, so activity, obviously that's your steps, that's your exercise, whether it's aerobic, whether it's non-aerobic. If it's vigorous exercise, it'll know that because it checks your heart rate. So we keep going.
Body measurements, button.
So body measurements, that's just something that you keep in there as far as your weight, height, and all that stuff. That's just common sense there.
Cycle tracking, button.
Okay, cycle tracking is not talking about bicycle. It's a different kind of cycle, and if you're a
not a
guy, don't need to worry about that one. So let me keep going.
Hearing, button.
So I'm going to just do a few more. I don't want to bore you to death. So hearing, it checks the environment around you. So like I said, if you're in loud environments, it could hurt your hearing or diminish your hearing. Let's go for a few more. Heart,
button.
This is your resting heart rate, your heart rate when you're active. There's like a few different heart rates that it checks. It can also check if you're having like, what do they call those when the heartbeat skips or doesn't?
Arrhythmia.
Oh yeah, arrhythmia. There you go. That's
Arrhythmia.
the word. Thank you.
Arrhythmia, yeah.
So your watch can check that and warn you. And there's more, and I won't go into them, but there's a bunch more, and they're all just different parts of the body.
What's real nice that I like is when I'm exercising, if I put it, well, even if I don't put it on exercise, it encouraged me to keep going. If
Mhm.
I'm very close to bringing my heart rate up, what they're recommending, it tells you to keep going, for 30 more seconds, and then it reaches the heart beat, and I think that is, that's
Yes.
awesome.
And alongside of all of this, the stuff I haven't even touched on, which is down further, if you're wearing, well, the phone will detect it. They'll detect crashes. Like if you're in a car and you're in a crash, it will immediately dial emergency services. Could save your life. Same thing with a hard fall. You fall and you hit hard, it'll start dialing. Patty the other day of the week was cooking something and it made her choke up a little bit. Like how you have those real hot chilies that make you breathe real funky while it's in the air. Well, that started happening to her, and I think it was trying to call or asking her if you want to call emergency services. Isn't that what happened, Patty, with that? I don't remember.
Yeah, because you know when the smoke hit me, I guess I must have taken I didn't breathe right away, and I struggled to breathe, and then I was trying to cough because it was the smoke just hit me all of a sudden, and then my phone, my wristwatch, right away asked me if I was under stress, if I needed help.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then if it not, I pushed it, I pushed the button away. But it noticed that because I was choking, in the smoke. So it stopped me from breathing a couple of seconds, and it noticed right away.
Yeah,
That
and
was very good.
That's amazing that the watch can detect that. And I think the newer watches can even do a simple EKG. That's what they say.
wow.
And that's amazing to me. I mean, especially at our stage in life, all of us, yeah, we need stuff to keep us, keep us honest or something.
Manny,
Yeah.
it's Manny. I had a thing last Friday, and my watch isn't the new one. I think you and I have the same version.
Yes,
but,
we do.
We had a crazy driver on shuttle, and it almost overturned us.
Oh my
It,
God.
Oh,
they dumped over. She jumped off the pavement into desert, and it was about a 12-inch drop, and
wow.
we almost completely overturned.
Wow.
And the watch immediately said, are you there? Shall I get help? And I had to push the button. It was that sensitive.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I suggest to everyone, and just my suggestion doesn't mean anything. If you're on the fence about this, get the watch. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. It could be like Maggie and I, we have I think it's version 4. Patty has version 5. They're on version 9 or something now. You don't have to buy a new one. Just as long as you have those sensors in there, you're golden. And of course, it extends your phone. Beyond that, you can answer calls and text and email right off the watch without even looking at your phone. So there's benefits to having that particular device. And I think with the health app, it's a natural companion, especially for your heart and breathing, your perspiration and things. It detects a lot of stuff. And the watches are getting so smart now that you can even detect gestures with your fingers, and then it'll do something. The newer watches can do that. Like if you pinch your fingers together, the watch will know it and do something. And I haven't read a lot about that, but I'm just thinking that's amazing technology that they're coming out with. So the health app is a really good thing to get into, and it's going to take a while because it's very extensive. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to be very happy with the fact that someone's looking out for you, even if it's a device. And your doctor will be happy if you're tracking stuff, and you can share it with your doctor at the doctor's office. Can check your heart rate, can check your blood sugar levels, can check just about anything, and then at least get better help for you instead of guessing, So yeah, that's kind of what I had for the health app and emergency contacts. And your emergency contacts, be sure to have at least 1 or 2 in there. So if something happens, somebody can be notified and you're not by yourself. You definitely want that. I have Patty as mine. And hopefully she'll come see me if I get in trouble.
Let's see.
If we're not
Behave.
arguing. But yeah, on a serious note, I think it's worth the effort and time. So I probably said too much of this already, so unless there's any questions, we'll move on to the next thing. Any questions on the health app or emergency contacts, watches, phones?
So are you going to talk about how to set up your SOS?
Your SOS.
Uh-huh.
I didn't plan to talk about that, but
Oh, okay. We can do that next time then.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll make a note of this and put that in. Okay. Yeah. All right. So okay, so these iPhones sometimes when they get all messed up and you haven't reset it like in 2 months and it's acting crazy and you can't shut it down with the S lady, you can shut it down forcefully by doing this. So if you have an iPhone SE, whether it's the second or third generation or even the first, all you have to do, any iPhone that has the buttons, the home buttons, like the iPhone 8 and back, okay? Those you just press and hold the power button, which will be when you're facing the phone on the right side at the top, you press and hold. And then you're going to get a shutdown button that you can double tap, and then it actually shuts it down, powers it off. Now, when you tell it to restart with the S Lady, it's not shutting it down. It's not powering it off. It's actually just restarting it. So, but sometimes you may need to shut it down hard and then actually bring it back up again. So when you shut an SE, iPhone SE or 8 and back down, you press and hold the power button until you get the shutdown button, and then you double tap on that, and then it goes away. And you wait for about 15, 20, 30 seconds, and then you press and hold the power button again for about 5 to 8 seconds. And then the little Apple symbol will show up. If you can't see it, just trust that it's there, and then it'll start talking when it comes up. But you got to press and hold the button for 5 to 8 seconds around there, and that'll bring
Manny, don't you have to push 2 buttons? I pushed the power
Yes.
and the up button.
Yes, and that's for buttons. That's for iPhones without buttons, just a regular screen. So no home buttons. On those phones, you have to press and hold one of the volume down, I guess, and the power button together, and then you'll get that shutdown thing, just like the other phone. And then you do the same thing. And then when you power on these phones, all you need to do is just press and hold the power button 5 to 8 seconds, and then it'll come up. And this is when you want to do a hard shutdown, when you need to like just turn it off completely, let it rest or something. Because sometimes these things get confused. Go ahead.
Manny,
Yeah.
when mine went completely dead, we had to touch the up volume, touch the down volume, and then hold the power button for about 30 seconds.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up.
That's a hard one, and
Yes.
we didn't realize that you have to hold the power button that long.
So let me rephrase what I just said. So shutting down the phone is what I just told you about. Doing a hard shutdown where you can't even shut it down with any other method. Then you do what Barbara just said. You got to hold the buttons down all together. And then that's kind of the way to do it by brute force, like brute force shutdown. And sometimes when it gets to be in a bad state, and it happens once in a while, not very often, like every few years maybe, you have to do this hard shutdown to get it to shut off and then come back up. So that's the third way of restarting your iPhone. You can tell Siri, that's to restart it. You can shut it down the way I was telling you before with the 1 or 2 buttons. Or if it's in really bad shape, you can do the 3 buttons together and then wait for it to actually shut down. It'll just terminate and shut down right there. And that goes to a power off state, not a restart. You'll have to start it up again by pressing the power button again. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. Thank you, Barbara, for making that distinction. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Oh,
Any questions on iPhone shutdown, restart, hard shutdown?
Maggie,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you shut your phone down and somebody calls you and your phone is in hard shutdown, what do they hear?
They go immediately to your voicemail,
Message.
because your cellular company that you have the phone service with, they are the ones that actually intercept the call, and then they check to see if you're connected. And if you are, then the call's routed to you. Otherwise, it's routed to voicemail.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. The next part of the class, if there's no more questions about that, is always my favorite part of the class. And I have 2 things for show and tell today. And I want to put Patty on the spot because, well, she's here. So I bought Patty for an early birthday gift. And what it is, it's like a finger holder for the iPhone. and it's a circular thing that magnetically attaches to the back of the iPhone, and you slip your finger through it, and your iPhone just stays in your hand without having to grab it. Kind of like those, I don't know if you remember me talking about those hand holder things that Barbara turned us on to with the two hands like that. Well, this one uses your finger, and your finger slides in through a hole in the little holder thing in the back, and then your iPhone just sits on your hand just real easy, and it takes no effort to manipulate your iPhone. You don't have to grab it or worry about dropping it or anything. So I don't know, Patty, did you want to talk about that, your experience, or are you is it working for you?
I'm totally in love with it. I use my phone for everything. I am on TikTok and Facebook and all kinds of stuff, and I don't have to hold my phone anymore. I could move my arm, my hand. I have my fingers close together, like I don't even know how to say. I have my whole fingers together, and I slip it in my middle finger most of the time because it gives me more balance. But I'm not holding the phone at all. I just have my hand resting on it, and there is no pains in my hands at all. Because like I said, when I'm on the phone doing my TikTok, it'd be an hour and a half, and it will not. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. Also, if I'm watching or listening to a book, I turn the ring around. It goes all around it, and you could rest it. It looks like it comes out like a little leg, right? The ring, since you turn the ring around, I could watch TV, or I could, have it on the counter and stuff. And it's magnetic. I could, when I have it with me, like today I was doing laundry, and I stick it on the top of the dryer, and then if I'm doing stuff, moving things around, it doesn't fall because it's stuck to the dryer.
Huh.
It was so
Wow.
neat because it's magnetic.
So if you can imagine what it looks like, it's like a circular ring, maybe about, I don't know what the size would be, maybe a few inches across, like a
It's like
circle.
2 to 3, maybe
Yeah.
2. Yeah,
And then
2
in
to
the middle,
2.5.
in the middle, there's a little bitty finger hole
It's like
size
a ring
circle,
that flips up.
flips up, and then you put your finger through it, and then your phone rests right on your hand, and you don't even feel it. It's just a natural thing. And then when you want to charge your phone, you can take the whole apparatus off because it's magnetically stuck to the case. You just pull it right off, and you can charge your phone normally on wireless charger or whatever you want. And
So there is a little ring that stays on
right.
the case, little magnetic area. But my phone, my chargers, the new one, the one that we got the same, that one was able to, all I have to do is remove the little thicker part,
Mhm.
and then I don't remove everything else. Before, I thought I was gonna have to remove the whole case and charge it, or you could use the wire, and not remove anything.
Yeah. So I would definitely suggest that. I'll put it in the notes. They run about less than $15. And
No,
it's so
they're
easy.
$12 because I got some
$12,
for
yeah.
my sisters now.
And it's real easy to install it. Really, you have a magnetic ring that goes on your outside of your case. So you put that right in the middle of the phone and sticks to it, press it down good. Then you got this ring piece that sticks to it and goes on your hand, and then it all works great. And then when you're done using your phone, you just slip it off of your finger, and then you could use that protruding ring part that your finger went through as a kickstand.
So stand.
So you can,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
So when I'm watching dishes, I'm listening to watching Netflix or my talking books. I'm always worried that I'll splash it. So what I've been doing all this week, I put it on the refrigerator I just stick it in the refrigerator, and then I know I'm not gonna splash water on it because it's magnetic. It just stays there.
Huh.
And this works for any iPhone, any Android phone. This is a universal kind of thing. And I'll include the link in the notes that I published. So I'm sorry, Patty, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's it. And I was thinking that once you got me this one, I started looking into it. This is just metal, but they have softer material ones. They have a leather. It looks like a little leather ring, so it doesn't hurt even less. So they're really into it because they know that we use our phones. Well, some of us use our phone all day long, and it hurts our hands.
Patty, it's Maggie. I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Does that protrude enough that Falcon could pick it up when he's getting the phone for me?
If you have it open, if you're, if the ring is out, he would be able to hold the phone like that. But if it's flat into it, no, because it's flat. It wouldn't,
Okay.
he
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to get it. But if you
Thank
have
you.
it open, for sure, he would just grab it and take it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. That's very good. So any questions about the finger holder? You get them at Amazon for 13, 15 bucks around there, and they're easy to install. And if anybody needs help with that, I'll be happy to do the installation. I did Patty's in about 2 minutes. No destructive thing on the phone. It just attaches to the case. And then the finger holder thing attaches to the magnetic ring on the case. So it's really a great little item. So, and that's what what we had to say about the finger holder guy. So, the other thing that I wanted to show, Barbara and Hunter, let me borrow this tripod, and I have it in front of the camera right now. It's got 3 legs, and it's got a phone holder thing right here. You put your phone in there, and I'll put mine in there just so you can see it. And what it does, it allows you to have your phone on a desktop or someplace. And let's say you want to take a picture of a group. Let's say you got your family and someone has already put them in the frame and you don't want the phone to move. You could put it in this tripod and take the picture. Or you could just have it sitting in a tripod. It could be playing a movie or something. It wouldn't just be right on the surface. So the little grabber guy that grabs the phone does it like this. I'm pointing the phone towards you guys. So that's my iPhone 14 Pro Max. It's 6.1 inches diagonal, and this thing accommodated it just fine. Smaller phones will be even easier. And now it's only set up right now to do it in landscape mode, but you could swivel it down and kind of get it into to portrait. But I don't know if this one will do that or if it'll become unstable and fall over. But this is a one way to have a phone holder on your desk or in front of you without you having to hold it. And of course, if you have it there and you have it sitting in front of you, you can tap the phone just like normal and there'll be no problems whatsoever. The only thing is you got to make sure that the clamp that holds the phone is not pressing one of the volume or power buttons.
7:33 p.m.
So that's kind of what this does. And these are real cheap too. They're less than 20 bucks at Amazon. So they look like this. And it's just a tripod with a mount thing on it. So any questions about that? All right, we're gonna keep on keeping on here. Let me see here. Okay. All right, so where are we at here? We're on emergency, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so in the next thing I want to talk about is a thing called private browsing in Safari. Has anybody messed with that yet? Does anybody know what that is? No? Okay. So what it is back in the old days of the internet, back in the dinosaur times, the 90s, people used to browse and not have to worry about, at least in the early 90s, not have to worry about who's watching them, who's tracking them and all that. And that's kind of what this brings you back to, this private browsing. So what happens is when you enable private browsing in Safari, I'm going to show you how to do this when I get to that part. What it will do is it won't keep any history about your searches. It won't keep any history about the websites that you visit. It disables all of the what do they call those things? The extensions on browsers that do special things. That's all taken away. It's like we're going back to the basics. And then of course it doesn't since it doesn't know who you are when you're browsing, it doesn't fill in information. Like if you get to a form field, it's not going to stick your first name in there because it doesn't know who you are at all. And that's good, I think, if you want to browse privately, or you don't want anybody to track you. And if you're in that kind of mindset, I would enable private browsing, and then I would go ahead and use Apple's private relay servers. And what those do along with private browsing is that any information you send to the internet, like if you want a website, it gets encrypted as it leaves your phone, and then it gets bounced off at least 2 servers at Apple, a safe place, before it goes out to the internet, to wherever it's going. And this way you kind of obfuscate or hide who you are from the outside world. So anyway, that's kind of what private browsing does. I'm going to show you how to enable it if you wanted to use it. And it's designed to keep you safe. Oh, and then the other thing too with private browsing, if you want to protect, like you don't want prying eyes to see your private browsing within your home. Let's say you have grandkids or kids and they tend to pick up your phone and get on there, and you got a browsing session with your, I don't know, your retirement account, and you have it on your phone and you're checking it out, and you don't want anybody else to see that. Well, you can take these private browsing tabs, and you can put them behind Face ID and Touch ID, so no one else can look at what you're browsing. So it really kind of puts a lead shield around you when you're browsing the internet. So let me show you how to do that real quick, how you turn it on.
7:37 p.m.
All right, so we get out of here.
Settings.
So you open up Safari.
Safari. Safari.
And in
Google search button.
And in the very last part of the toolbar, there's a thing called tabs. And we've talked about that before, about closing tabs. So, but there's some more stuff.
Toolbar, tabs, button, tab, search tabs, search field.
So, excuse me.
To edit.
Once we're in tabs, there's another toolbar that comes up, and it's called
private.
You
Tab
got-
group 1 of 2.
You got a private tab group,
Swipe
then-
upwards, 3 tabs.
and then I got this non-private tab group that currently has 3 tabs open. If I want to go to private browsing, I would go to private.
3 tabs.
Oops.
Private. Tab group 1.
And I would double tap on that. And when you do that for the first time, it's going to talk to you about what private browsing is, blah, 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 a little nag screen at the very beginning. Then you'll say, okay. And then once you're in private browsing, you will now be more insulated from anybody trying to track you, or anybody trying to see what kind of products you like and things like that. But you do lose functionality, because some of that stuff does add value, like your saved searches and history, or being able to fill out forms. Those kind of things are kind of handy when you need them. But this is good if you just want to be, I don't know, to be out of the view of everybody, and that's where it's at. So it's the tabs, and then you go to the tab group called private and enable that, and you just start browsing. And when you want to get out of private browsing, you do the same thing, except you don't choose private, you choose the other one.
3 tabs.
And that's how you do that. And you choose that, then you're back into the old kind of browsing. So it's good to have both, just in case you need it. So, And that's kind of how that works. It's private browsing in Safari. And it's been around for a few versions. They just improved it in 17. So, okay. Any questions about private browsing? All right, let me keep going then. What is this? This is, okay, I don't know if Diane Bellarante is here tonight.
I am here.
Hi,
I am here.
Diane. How are you
Yay!
doing? You know how I knew you were here? I heard you breathing. I heard it.
Ah, sorry.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. So Diane, she asked me to go over the Reminders app. Have you done any research on the Reminders app? Anything you want to talk about first before I get started, or should I just dive right into it? What?
No, you can just dive right in.
Okay. So the Reminders app, all these apps are digital versions of what we used to do with paper, or in the old analog way, in the dinosaur days. So you can think of the Reminders app as the grocery list you used to keep on your refrigerator, or the Post-it notes you used to put on your refrigerator. And even when you have a list, a grocery list, those are a list of reminders. So when I say list and reminders, they're really synonymous. They're the same thing. Okay.
Okay.
So you can make individual reminders, like call Barbara tomorrow at 7 p.m. And at 7 p.m., a notification will come up and say, call Barbara, or whatever you said. It'll just come right up. So that's what a reminder does. If you make a list, and you could have a to-do list, you could have a grocery list, you could have a list of people in your chess club. It could just be a list of anything. The list is just a list, and it doesn't matter what's in the list. But let's talk about grocery lists. So a grocery list is a list of reminders of things to buy at the grocery store. So you put eggs, cheese, apples, boom, boom, boom. And then you go to the store, and as you're putting them in your cart, you can have your reminders up, and you can either just listen to them and put them in there, or you can, as you're putting them in, you can find the reminder, excuse me, and then you can double tap on it, or you can just tell Siri to mark this reminder as complete. So you put some apples in your cart, right? And you go, S lady, mark apples as complete. And she will mark apples and pull it off the grocery list. And then the remaining reminders will be there on the grocery list. So that's what reminders do. And there's more complexity to it too. You can have time-based reminders, like I mentioned about calling Barbara at 7 tomorrow. You can have reminders that are tethered to a location. So let's say that, Diane, you come over to the office where I teach, but you want to make a phone call to somebody as soon as you get there. Well, you can set up a reminder that when you get to that address, to make sure to remind me to call somebody, or whatever it is you want to be reminded of. Take the pill, or whatever it is. And that is a good thing for reminders too. You can base it on location. And every time you get back to that location, that reminder will pop up until you mark it as complete. Then the reminder goes away. And that's how reminders work. Now, I've seen people use reminders in lieu of using their calendar. And you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend it for the following reason. If you put all of your appointments into reminders, okay, there is no way that the Reminders app is going to protect you from overlapping things. So let's say that I'm supposed to call Barbara at 7 tomorrow, excuse me, tomorrow on a reminder. But then I said, you know what? I got to meet up with Hunter at 7, or I got to go see Patty at 7. I can put all those reminders in there for the same exact time and day, and it won't tell you that you're overlapping and that you're double booked. Or a calendar, and that's what it does. let's say if I put in a calendar event to go see Diane Bellerante tomorrow at between 2 and 4. If I try to schedule another appointment to go see Patty or Barbara between 2 and 4, it's going to immediately tell me, no, you already got something going on already in that time period. And that's why you want to put time and date based things in a calendar and just list kind of things or location based kind of things in reminders. And of course, both the reminders app and the calendar app can be completely controlled by voice. You don't need to go into the app, which is kind of cool. You can, it's another way there. But between the two, you can actually automate the whole thing with just the proper commands. So I think that is a really good. So that's pretty much the basics of it, Diane, unless you wanted something a little more esoteric about this, but that's really the basics of reminders.
No, but does that mean that if I had, say, a grocery list, that I could say to Siri, so Siri, set up a grocery list in my reminders app and put apples on it, that she would do that?
Yeah, it's easier than that, actually. You can say, like, let's say you don't have a grocery list, and let's say you want to create one. You don't have to worry about creating the list. All you have to say is add apples to my grocery list. She'll come back and tell you, there is no grocery list. You want to create it? And then she'll say, and you'll say yes, and then she'll create the list and put the first item on there. And then you can use the same verbiage to add bananas to your grocery list or add something else to your grocery list. So,
Okay.
so it's really a really cool thing. And if you just learn how to add, and then you can go in and then you can mark them as complete, things will just go on and come off automatically. You can just go through your list. That's what I do when I go grocery shopping. I put things on there all the time. And I go, I'm glad I put that on there. I would have never remembered, and then boom, I got everything I needed. So.
Okay.
And if you need any more
Okay.
information, I can send you some offline. I can send you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Patty. I use the reminders on my phone a lot, but for some reason I've never used the A lady for that. And all last week and this week I've been using her for a lot of stuff. And she's real good on reminders. She'll ask you, like, do you want to be reminded at, like I said, remind me, my sister's birthday's coming up. And I said, I want to be reminded the day before. And she goes, what time? And, she'll remind you at the time that the day before, the day of, the night before. I've never used the A lady for that. I thought that was real neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both have similar features, both the A lady and the S lady. And for the phone, like I said before, you would say add apples to my grocery list. And then when you get apples, you would say mark apples as complete. And that's it. That's managing right there. That's all you have to do. For calendar events, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll put these out there too. Let's say you want to create a appointment tomorrow with Barbara at 7 p.m. You would say new appointment titled Barbara tomorrow, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And it'll block off an hour and a half of that time. If you want to change that appointment, so you know what, I only need to see her from 7:30 to or 7 to 8. You could say change appointment Barbara. It says, oh, I found one at 7 to 8:30 tomorrow. What do you want to change about it? And you say date, time, or date, or whatever, and you'll put in the new date and time, and then it'll update it. And then if you want to get rid of it, let's say you made it by mistake, you would just say delete appointment Barbara, and it'll say, you want to delete the appointment with Barbara at 7 p.m. tomorrow? And you'll say yes or no, and then it'll be gone, or it'll stay. And that's all you got to do.
This is Diane. I have to say, I have a low level of trust with Siri and the calendar, because she has done some very weird things to me. Like if say, I'll start to schedule and I'll say, okay, okay to her, I want to schedule on next Wednesdays, I want to schedule an event on at 1:30. And the name of the event will be, and then I think, oh, that's wrong. I say, no, cancel. And so what she does is come back and say, oh, I scheduled an event called cancel.
Oh, yeah.
And I end up with this event on my calendar. So I don't always trust her. She does some weird things to me. I don't know. She and I don't speak the same language, I think.
I think what you have to do, Diane, with these machines, they say they're smart, but they're not too smart, okay? You have to spoon feed them kind of a nice, consistent script every time. And unfortunately, you know, I've been bitten by that dog many times. So what I do now is I have a script for creating. I say, new event titled, fill in the blank, whatever it's called. And then she'll come back and say, what's the date and time for the event? And if it's an all-day event, I'll just give it a date. If it's a specific time, I'll give it the date and time. And that seems to work really good. And if you do it like that every time, and knowing that you're doing it to accommodate a dumb device, so to speak, then you know that you're the smart one, and it's just not understanding you because you know it. Excuse me, you know what you're saying, but it doesn't. And again, the same thing with modifying and deleting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was only going to say what I recently have found. If I need to delete or modify an event on my calendar, I've had some success using VO Calendar because it seemed to be easier for me when I found something and I could just say, it just gave me the choice to delete, and it wouldn't argue with me. It would just delete the whole event.
Yes.
So I've got VO Calendar has worked for me for some of these things.
You know, and there's no wrong way. And absolutely, there's many roads to Rome, and you just found another one, so that's great. You know, anything that works. So, are there any questions about reminders and/or calendars? That's always a popular subject with my students, so I thought I'd bring it up again because you know, Diane wanted me to talk about it a little bit. So, there it is.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So the next thing, this is less of a learning thing and more of an information thing. I was reading an article from Apple, because I do stuff like that. I should be reading Shakespeare, but I like to read Apple stuff instead. So that tells you everything you need to know about me. Anyway, I ran across this article that said that closing apps actually hurts your battery life. And I didn't understand that because, you know, I'm kind of from that world, and you would always in Windows or even on the Mac machine, as soon as you're done with an app, you close it because you wanted to recover that memory so you can do the next thing that you wanted to do. But it looks like the iPhone is so optimized that it's better to keep apps open. And I know this sounds crazy, but it was confirmed from Apple that it's better for you just to keep these apps in the background, kind of in a, I don't know, kind of in a sleepy mode, and it's not using any resources, than to actually launch them again when you need them. And it says your battery life will be extended if you do things that way. And I said the same thing, and I've been checking it out, and I've found that they're right. Things come up faster. The battery lasts a little bit longer. You know, every little bit helps. You know, when it comes to battery life. You know, screen brightness and background tasks, but opening and closing files is kind of like starting and stopping in a car. It's better just to keep it going than to start and stop. It ruins your gas mileage, kind of thing. That's kind of my analogy, a very bad one, but that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So if you want to extend your battery life, don't worry about your app switcher so much and trying to close apps as soon as you're done. Probably better just to leave them open, and then every once in a while you just restart your phone once a week, every 2 weeks, you know, to clear out any cobwebs that are happening. And that's kind of what I got out of the article. I can put a link to that article so you all can read it for yourselves. I mean, it's not written in this weirdo language stuff. It's just, you know, a regular article. And I'm thinking, if you read that, you might be able to glean something off of it that I didn't mention today. But basically, you shouldn't have to worry about what apps are open. Your iPhone can handle it. And the ones that are open in the background use very, very little as far as resources, especially with the iPhones we got today. They're so good.
So this is Patty. So
Mhm.
if you have Facebook open, you should just leave it open for days.
Well, no. See, and that's the misnomer. Yeah, that's a good question. So when you say open, you mean like in the front of the screen and you're interacting with it. That's an
No.
open app.
Yeah.
When you switch out of the app to do something else, that app goes to sleep. It's actually not open. It's actually asleep in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how you have your background tasks set up, Facebook may or may not be doing anything. I have to say, in the case of social media, I would suggest closing those because they tend to be very intrusive anyway. So you close those, but you can leave like mail open. You can leave like your Photos app open and stuff. But that's not going to really do anything in the background, not very much.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of a point of diminishing returns for apps that like to work in the background and do crazy stuff like Facebook and TikTok and all these apps. Maybe those you want to close them right away. But the other ones, yeah, just leave them open. It's not going to hurt you at all. And you just have to make good decisions on that. Be a good custodian with the resource that you have. So
Yeah,
That's
it kind of makes sense. The ones that
Mhm.
you use a lot, like the phone, the mail, the text,
yeah,
you know,
I mean,
just leave them open.
if the phone is weird because it comes up and then the answering part comes up and then it goes away, but then you can
Mhm.
double tap and reopen it again. And I've never noticed it being slow or fast. And my phone's so fast and I can't even tell. But my older phone, I noticed difference when I would close apps and then reopen them. So there's merit to the argument that you leave apps that are not too busy. You can just leave those open and they'll just come right back up. And then there's merit to closing apps that are intensive, that are processor intensive, like your social media apps or even Safari. Safari can
Maddie,
be very intensive. So
Maddie, it's Maggie. I am
Mhm.
horribly confused. You
Okay.
have trained me to clean up my phone. And so at either first thing in the morning or after at night before I go to bed,
Mhm.
I go through and clean up the phone. Now, I should not do that anymore?
No. I'm just suggesting what Apple said. They said if you want to optimize your battery life, you don't need to close apps all the time. But if you're doing that as a habit, that's okay. It's not going to hurt your phone at all. It's just going to give you a little extra battery life. You probably won't even notice it, but it's cumulative over a long time. That's what I'm saying. It's not a bad habit to close apps. I still do it a lot. But Apple's saying that it could help your battery life just a little bit to leave things open longer. I wouldn't say indefinitely though. I haven't bought onto that yet, but that's what the article says. And I think you're doing fine closing apps because I think it keeps you safer to do that, to be honest with you. So don't change a thing, Maggie.
Okay.
And I'm here to
You
confuse. That's
confused
my
us.
job.
We're all confused now.
And that's my job is to confuse everybody. So excuse me. All
Hey,
right.
man, you know how we knew you were here?
What's that?
You know how we knew you were here?
How?
Because you were coughing.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow.
he's gotta take some Robitussin.
Oh well. I get no respect. All right. So if there's no more questions about closing apps, I will go into the next thing, which I thought was kind of exciting. So visual lookup is really a cool thing. And what it is you can have a picture of something and it'll tell you what it is. And the reason I bring it up is not because we haven't covered it before, but I was reading an article about it, and I don't have a demonstration. I saw this on the web, but you can even use visual lookup when you're trying to determine laundry, what you call it, laundry symbols. You know how you have a garment and it says machine wash only, and then sometimes they're just symbols. They're not like words, or they say line dry and it has a symbol for that. Well, if you can get a garment that has those symbols and you can snap a picture of it, your phone can tell you what those symbols mean. It'll look them up and tell you what you can do and not do with that garment, like dry clean only or this and that. And I thought that would be interesting. It's just another visual lookup option for your iPhone. Yeah, you can look at a picture and tell you what kind of animal it is and species. The same thing with plants and people, and you know how they're dressed and all this. And this actually deciphers laundry symbols on your clothes, so you can sort them if you need to take some to the dry cleaner, or put these for line drying instead of regular dryer stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I'll put a link into the video that I saw so you guys can see it. I didn't have any clothes with symbols on it, which tells you what kind of guy I am. I have my suit, but I didn't get into there and open that up. But the thing is, if you do find symbols on these tags in your clothes, your phone can tell you the proper way to launder them, to clean them, and what to
app
do.
did you use?
What's that?
What app were you using?
Oh no, it's baked into the phone. It's baked into the lookup. Yeah, it's right in the phone. So typically you would well, you could use the camera app and take a picture. I'm not sure if it'll detect it live while you're looking at it, but if you take a picture and do it, it does decipher the symbols, and there's a little information guy when you open the picture at the bottom. You tap on that, then the laundry symbols are explained. It'll tell you, you know, what you can do and what you can't do with the garment. You know, hot water, cold water, boom, all that stuff. And you can have like a bunch of codes in there, and it'll decipher all of them. And
Cool.
that's kind of cool for if you're worried about how to clean something. In fact, some things are hand washed, some are dry cleaned, some are machine. You know, so and that's kind of what I found on the web. I thought it was pretty neat. So, any questions about visual lookup? Any other things that you think it should do for us? All right, I want to go to the next thing. Okay. When you install, if you haven't already, when you install iOS 17, you're going to notice something different when you get a phone call. And not the phone call, but when they leave a voicemail. So what it's going to do now by default, if you change nothing, okay, it will allow the person to leave a voicemail. And as they're leaving the voicemail, it will transcribe it, and VoiceOver will speak what they're saying in the voicemail real time. And if it's something that you do want to talk to them about, you can immediately connect right then as they're leaving the voicemail and talk to them. So that's the new feature, and it's called live voicemail. And if you got 17 on the phone, you've already got it. And that's what'll happen. And it does work. I've had a few calls come in, and I couldn't talk to them at the time, and then started speaking the voicemail that they were leaving. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And
I know. I thought they were leaving a text at the same time. It was real weird.
Yeah, because it can't mimic their voice. So what it does, it just takes the, you know, like when you go into the voicemail tab on the phone app and you see that transcription underneath.
Yep.
That's what it's showing you, but it's doing it in real time. They're saying like, hey, Patty, this is Manny. It'll start saying that on your phone right as they're leaving that message at the same exact time. And like I said, it gives you an option to answer the call then while they're leaving the voicemail, which is something you couldn't do before. You know, once they get to voicemail, it was all bets were off. So so if you're screening your calls, that's a nice little tool. So there's that. And I encourage you to try that out. And I think there's a way to turn that off if you don't like it. Because if you're not used to it, it's very intrusive. You go, what is going on? And I'm sure there's a way to stifle that messaging while it's doing it. But it is in the new version of iOS. So be forewarned. Okay, let's see here. Any questions on the voicemail piece? Okay. All right, I wanted to talk about services that are out there where you can make phone calls and you don't need to have a cellular phone number to do it. Okay. This would cover apps like FaceTime, or the grandfather of all these apps, Skype, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. All these apps allow you to make voice calls with other people, and you don't even need to have a cellular plan with anybody. However, you do need data. So you got to have a Wi-Fi connection or some kind of data thing going on to do this. And these apps are called voice over IP apps. I explained those last month, but I wanted to reiterate on them. And what's good about these apps is that you don't need a phone number to call. All you need is an email address, or in the case of WhatsApp and Skype, you could actually use a phone number and they'll dial them over the internet. And you don't have to have a phone number. You could have an email address too. They could use that to connect with you as long as they have something. So, and these apps are all free. I think Skype has a paid tier for something like certain international calls and things, but like WhatsApp and these other ones, FaceTime, as long as, and FaceTime, the two people have access to the FaceTime architecture, meaning Apple iPhones and some third-party things that can tap into it. You can call anybody in the world for free. Well, not free, but doesn't charge you for the call. And then same thing works with Skype and other things. So these are apps you
used
want to look into.
I used WhatsApp to talk to my daughter when she was in France last summer.
There you go. And it
worked,
does. They don't charge you like an exorbitant amount of money. Just whatever.
Doesn't charge me anything.
Yeah. So whatever data she has in France and what data you have, you are connected, and you don't need AT&T or anybody else. And usually the quality is pretty good. So
it was fine, and she called me the same way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to have a secondary way to reach people. Let's say something happens to your cell phone plan or whatever. You have another way to get a hold of people. And I would really consider that. I mean, FaceTime comes with your phone, but typically you can only use that with other Apple devices.
Yeah.
So WhatsApp is good because I believe you can use that universally with any device that supports it. Same thing.
My daughter told me, because she has worked in some other countries, that the people she works with in other countries, everybody uses WhatsApp. I mean, it's kind of like the common denominator phone that they use.
Yeah, it's more international. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are other flavors of these apps, and I'll include like 4 or 5 of them in the notes. There's another one called Telegram and this and that. But you're right, Diane and Patty. I think WhatsApp is the big kahuna out there. If you really want to talk to anybody at all, whatever they are on, you can use WhatsApp. And I believe it's controlled by the makers by Meta, the makers of Facebook and stuff. I think that's part of their thing. So it's not one of these third world apps from that could compromise you. What I understand, WhatsApp is a good way to do it. So if you guys are interested, that might be a good app to throw on, and then you could start having phone conversations with people all over the world without having to pay crazy prices. And you don't need to give up your cellular plan to do this. I mean, it works right alongside of it. You can still make your phone calls, and then you can go to the WhatsApp app and you can call people there totally separate way. So I think these good options for people if you guys are interested in that. And yeah, that's kind of what I had on that one. So any questions on these apps, on these voice over IP apps? All right, I'm going to move on then. All right, so I had a class with Barbara yesterday, and she showed me some new stuff. I'm gonna have to start paying her pretty soon. She's showing me stuff. Or I'm gonna have to get back into the woodshed and get version 2 of my knowledge set up here. But so this is really cool, and I was shocked when she showed it to me. So I've always had trouble with the stupid control center and notification center, you know. And Barbara told me the way to do it. So kudos to her. So what you do, if you want to bring up the control center, you put focus on the status bar, which is at the very top. And that's where the time is. That's where your Wi-Fi network name is, your battery level. Just put the focus up there. And then you take 3 fingers and you swipe up. And then the control center pops up. Really cool. And then if you want to get to the notification center, that is 3 fingers swiped down. And then you can see all your notifications in a list. So that's very cool. I don't know if that just happened or if I've just been asleep all these years, but all I know is I like it. And I was using that whole double tap thing on the back to bring up control center. And I'm going to get rid of that and just do this instead. So anytime you guys run into any new gestures that I haven't talked about, please let me know, because I wish I knew them all. I don't. This is really handy.
Does that work the same on an SE?
It should, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so status bar is a status bar is a status bar. So it should work on both. The trick is to get focus into the status bar. So what you should do is drag your finger from the very top of the phone until you hear status bar or time or whatever it is in the status bar. Then you can lift your finger. Then you can take your 3 fingers and swipe up or down, depending on if you want the control or the notification center. And then you can see everything real easy. And it's a godsend for me, because I used to have the hardest time on my iPhone SE to get that control center up. And now it's just, it happens like nothing. It's great. So thank you, Barbara. That was really cool. And
Hey, Manny,
yeah.
didn't it change on 17? I think it's even faster on 17.
Yeah, as far as I know, they've made the screen somehow. I don't know how they've done it. They've made the screen just a touch more sensitive to these kind of things. So you don't have to work so hard to tease these 3-finger gestures out of it. You know, they've got better at identifying fingers. Because a lot of us, what we like to do, because we're human, we want to try to do it the easy way. So we end up putting our fingers together on the screen. And in older versions of iPhone, it would consider those 3 fingers as one big finger. And then of course it wouldn't work because it only recognized 1 finger. And now I can keep the fingers closer together on these smaller screens and do it. And it recognizes the 3 independent fingers and not confusing it as 2 or 1, which is a really, really nice thing. So kind of like that. So, all right. So that's my notes on the control center and notification center gestures. Let's see what's next here. Okay. Some of these next items are going to be various ways to share stuff. Sharing is really like the old copy and paste. Remember in the old days, Windows and all that, and you would want to take a file and copy it. You could drag it with a mouse, but sometimes we would use copy and then paste. We do that with text, with files and all that stuff. Well, in the Apple world, we call that sharing. That's what it's called. So I'm going to show you guys how you can share a voicemail message with someone. So let me grab my phone. Where did I put my phone? Oh, there it is. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do.
8:13 p.m. 3 tabs.
Yeah.
Safari.
So you're going to go, we're going to do this. You can't do this with the S Lady, unfortunately. And I wish we could. But if you want to get into your voicemail and manipulate things like share and delete and blah, 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 you have to go to your phone app. And I'm going to tell the S Lady to open it. So Siri,
Uh-huh.
Open phone.
Phone, tab bar, contacts, tab, 3.
So on the bottom is a tabbed interface. And you want to go to the tab all the way to the right. And I believe it's called voicemail. Let me get over there to it.
Keypad, selected, voicemail, selected.
That's what you want to hear. Selected voicemail. And then I have one that I sent to myself. Don't ask me how I did that, but it was fun and I got it done. So I'm going to go in, and first thing you're going to do is swipe to the right to get to the voicemail message. So I'm going to go there.
MannyCellis.com, home, November 7.
So that's the header. If I want to open that up to see what it says or hear it, I would double tap on that.
MannyCellis.com, home.
And in the voicemail, you have these options. Let me just go through them.
Voicemail position, 0, play voicemail, button.
So I could play it. You guys probably won't hear it because it goes with the earpiece, but it's just me just testing a voicemail thing. And then we got
Playback destination, button.
You can change it from the earpiece to
Swipe
speaker.
up or down. Call, button.
I can call myself,
Delete
it,
button. Transcription.
and then the transcription is down here.
Hey Manny, this is the other Manny leaving you a message. Okay, do you in class?
Wow.
Swipe up or down to select a.
So that's a transcription. So let's say that let me see if I can play it where you guys can hear it. Let me see.
Play voicemail.
Let me try that again. Hang on. So you can't really hear it. They've got to work on that. So what I want to do is I want to share that. I want to it's important for me to share that with somebody. So there's going to be a share option. And what you do is you can swipe to it.
Manny Cellis voicemail to Manny share.
So you can swipe up with one finger or down, swipe up, and you're going to choose share.
More in share. Manny Cellis.
So then a typical share sheet comes up. And what a share sheet is it has all the people and apps you can share it with. And then below that, it's got other options. So if I swipe to the right on this share sheet, it sounds like this.
Manny Cellis audio recording. 11th Monwell's Mac Mini. Suggestion.
So that's my computer, and I'll just go through a couple, but then I'll get to the heart of this.
Barbara McPherson. Suggestion. Button.
So if I chose Barbara McPherson, what it would do is it would send an email to Barbara with that voicemail attached. So I'm not going to send her the email, but I'm just going to show you how it makes the email, how it creates it. So Barbara McPherson. So I'm going to tap on her.
Man, cancel button. So
now I've got a new message. So it's right here.
New message heading.
And then I'll swipe to the right.
Send. But the Romany at gmail.to Barbara McPherson. Text.
So it puts her name in there because that's who I'm sharing it with.
CC/subject text field.
Then right there I would fill in a subject like voicemail copy or something. And then in the body, it's going to have the voicemail itself.
Message body. Voicemail 10745573120.m4a.
And the important thing is .m4a. That's an MPEG audio file. So when Barbara gets it, she can double tap on it, and then it would just play it, just like any song file or audio file like that. And that's the way you do that. That's how you share voicemail messages. So I'm gonna get out of here. So I'm not going to send this, obviously. So I'm going to hit cancel.
Cancel button. Can't alert. Delete draft button. Delete draft button.
And then we're still back in the share sheet where I was sharing it with Barbara. So we're going to get out of that. So I'm going to swipe to the right.
Audio recording. Close button.
And then we're back in the voicemail screen. And that's how you share a voicemail. And you can share audio files and pictures in very similar ways like this. So any questions on sharing a voicemail file? If not, we're gonna go sharing another thing here. Let me see. Da, 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 da. Oh, sharing an email audio attachment. That works the same way. Let's say someone sent you an audio attachment in an email, like a file. So you got to open up your mail program. I'm gonna do that now.
Safari. Doc. Mail. 20. Mail. Instant for all inboxes. Mailbox. Mail.
So I'm gonna find the guy.
Messages. Unread. Manny Seller.
Let's see here.
Page 8 of page 4, page 3 of page 2 of page 1 of refreshing content. Page 1 of 4. Manny Sellis. Audio file test.
Okay, so I have one
3:04
called
PM.
audio file test. It's an email with an audio file in it. So I'm gonna open that up. Maybe. Let me see. Where did it go?
Manny Sellis. Photo test. 1 unread. Manny Sellis. Audio file test. Select message content. Cactus Ren M4A.
All right, so I have a bird call file that I used in a previous class when the bird recognition thing. So I'm gonna, if I want to hear that file, if I just want to hear what it sounds like, I have to double tap on it.
All inboxes. Cactus.
And then I got to hit play because it brings up the player, but it doesn't automatically play it. So that might confuse you if you're waiting for the sound. So we will swipe to the right to get to the play button.
Done. Button. Play. Button.
We'll play it.
Play. Cactus Ren M4A.
And then it should start playing. Oh. So that's what it sounds like. And then I could share that if I wanted to. So down at
Share
the
that with
bottom-
me.
I'm going to share it with Patty. So I'm in an email. I opened up the Cactus Wren bird call, right? And I'm listening to it. But what if I want to share it with Patty now? I say, oh, I want to share that. Down at the bottom of this player, when you open it, there's a share option. Let's go down there.
Done. Button. Play. Button. Media timeline. Toolbar. Share.
I'm going to
Button.
share. And then I'm going to
Recognize
find,
SuperSense.
I'm going to
Button.
find Patty on here.
Chica Green. Suggestion. Button.
So, I don't know what, let me make sure that's. All right, so I'm gonna choose Chica Green.
Chica Green. Suggest. Text field is editing. Attachment PNG.
And it's gonna send it via a message because that's what I chose. And I'm just gonna hit send.
Send. Button. Send message. Cactus
And
Red
now
M4A.
she should get,
Actions menu.
she should be getting it any second now. So that's how you play and share audio files in an email. So, sorry, any questions? I didn't mean to cut somebody off.
I have a question, Manny.
Yeah.
If you could you accomplish the same idea by forwarding that email on to her?
You could,
And then she
yes.
could open it up and play it?
There are many
Yeah.
ways to do that. So you would forward,
Yeah,
and I'm
okay.
not sure if you get an option to forward with or without attachments, but yeah, like I said, there's many roads
Yeah.
to Rome. I'm just showing
Yeah.
one,
Okay,
but that's a very good
Okay.
observation. Very good. Yes.
okay.
You can forward emails, which is probably a better way so you can
Mhm.
see the trail. That's probably a good thing. All right, so I'm gonna get out of this.
Done. Button.
So I'm doing done in the player.
Message content.
I'm back in the email message. And of course, now I want to close that.
All inboxes.
So when you're using the phone, you usually have to drill into a hierarchy and then back out again. So if you know you open an email and then you open the player, then you open the share sheet, and then that opened up text message. Well, you got to go back the same way you came, and just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing this, because you know you are in a line of things that have to be closed to go back, and they got to be closed in the order they were opened. Okay. All right. So let's see what's next here. Let's see. Saving images and email and text messages. So let's say somebody sends you an image in an email app. And yes, you can forward that. That's a great way to do it. But if you just want to pull the image out and you want to text it to somebody, that's what this will do. So let me get to my my image test guy.
Messages. Manny Celis. Audio file test. Manny Celis. Photo test. 1:18 p.m.
I did my homework this time. I didn't
Attachments.
put anything to chance. So image test.
Manny Celis. Select message content. B6A5F854 negative 974B. 4245A.
So what you do is in the body of the message is this image. I know it's on there because it just said it. So I'm just going to put my finger on it again.
Message content. B6A5F.
So if I want to share that image in a text message, I would double tap on it to open it up in the viewer. Just like we did with the audio file, we open it up in the audio player viewer kind of thing. We're going to do the same thing with the image, but we're going to open it up in its viewer, its visual viewer, whatever you want to call it.
B6A5 all inboxes. 20 direct touch.
No. If you have the settings set up right, when I touch the image,
B6A5F854 negative 974B. 4245A460.
give it a second here.
Minus 233F9C6DD0A6 2023. 09. 25A2.13.58 p.m. JPEG image. Actions available. A person sitting on a couch in a room.
That's what I wanted to get to after all that stuff. So all that beginning stuff, I don't know why I said all that. That's probably a file name. But I want to share it via text message. So I'm going to go down to share.
B6A5 toolbar. Share button. Direct touch area.
And the share sheet should have come up, but it didn't. Let me just
Message drag explore unread. Reply. Flag. Archive. Activate. Default. Toolbar. Share. Direct touch area. Share. Direct touch area.
All right. So the share sheet comes up. Sorry about that. I had a little mistake there. And then I would pick the person I want to share it with.
Manuel's Mac Mini. Suggest direct touch area. Suggest less button.
Anyway, so when I do that, it's going to share it with whoever I choose. Or if I want to save it to files or my photo, there's an option down there for that. So it's just another way to copy and paste, or i.e. share information from your iPhone to whatever you want to send it to. So I'm going to get out of here and get out of there.
Close button. Close. Direct touch done.
Done.
Button. Direct touch area. Message header. Photo test. All inboxes. All in.
So we've backed up all the way to the inbox. So that's how you do a photo. And again, like Diane said, you could just forward the message to somebody and it should forward everything to them, including the photo, if you're doing an email kind of thing. Let's see what else.
Hey, Manny, it's Patty. What I noticed with 17 is when I get a lot of pictures from my nieces and nephews on text, and it's I don't have to do nothing. I swipe and it gives me the option to save it.
Yes.
And I just save it into my photos. I don't have to do anything anymore.
That's right. I was saving it from the email, which is a little harder. When you're in a text message and you have an image, that's exactly the way you do it. You can focus on the image and then you swipe up or down and there's a save option and it does it right away. I wish they all work the same way. Shame on Apple for not making this consistent. So that's kind of what I had for sharing. Any questions on sharing? Is there anything else that anybody can think of that they would want to learn how to share? Because I just hit a few audio and video things. I mean, you could share.
Manny, I have a question.
Yeah,
this
go
is
ahead.
Diane again. Maybe this isn't maybe everybody else knows how to do this, but I have a lot of trouble. Occasionally I need to forward a text message, and I have a lot of trouble with that. Is there a way to share a text message with someone,
dip.
or what's the
Yeah,
best
yeah,
way to
you can
do
forward
that?
it. You can actually forward it. Now we have to make sure we're talking the same language here. So when you're talking about a conversation, you're talking about, let's say you and I are having a conversation in text, and the conversation is the sum of all the text messages within the conversation.
Right.
So
Mhm.
you're talking about taking a single piece of that conversation and forwarding it out, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, oftentimes it's actually a text message I got, and that's all there is, and I want to forward that on to my husband.
Sure.
And so there is only one bubble or whatever in that text message. Yeah.
Mhm. So there's a forwarding option there. Let me get back to it.
It's under more.
Oh, it's under more? Okay.
Oh,
Let me see here.
Search. Dog.
So I'm gonna go into my messages,
Messages.
and I'm just gonna pick one here. Chica Green.
Conversations. Chica Green. Barbara McPherson.
No, let's take Barbara McPherson. Let's go there. Barbara McPherson.
Messages. Your iMessage. Messages. Barbara McPherson. Hi, Manny. I sure hope.
So there's a text bubble, a part of the conversation from Barbara. Now, I think Patty is right. I swipe up on that text bubble. I put focus on it. I swipe up till I get to more. Let's just see.
Drag.
No.
More.
There's more.
Translate. Copy. Reply. React. Activate. Drag.
So let's go to more.
More. Selected. Barbara McPherson. Toolbar. Delete. Button. Forward. Button.
So when you choose more and you go to the bottom right, there's a forward option right there. And it sounds like this.
Forward. Button.
And you tap on that.
New message.
And then you can tell it who you want to forward it to, and then
right.
stick it in there automatically. And then you're all set.
Yeah.
So
I
remember,
think my problem, and it's probably not one everybody else has, but I think my problem is when I go to something like more, it opens up. I have trouble getting my focus in the right place. I feel like I've got little screens all over the place, and I can't because I can't see anything, I can't find the right place then to go on from there. So it's probably not something you want to explore here, because I don't think anybody else has probably got the same issue.
Well, I think it's a good point you're making. You know, when you choose one of these options, there is no visual component that's happening. When you hear delete and react and more, that's just voiceover speaking the context menu. There's nothing on the screen that indicates that that's what's happening. But when you hear more, then you double tap, you might get a screen that has a bunch of more options, and then you would just swipe to the right.
But that's my problem. I can never seem to get that screen. I always end up, I don't know. I like I said, this is probably not the venue to do this, because I just have a lot of trouble getting my focus in the right place to continue all my more options.
Whenever you hear an option like more or whatever, and you want to execute that option, you immediately double tap, and then that will execute that option. So,
but then I have to find how to get of the things that are in more. A lot of times I can't figure out. Yeah, that's step two is the one that gets me every time.
So for example, let's say we're doing this whole more thing. So you're swiping up and you're hearing all these options. Oh, there's more. You double tap on the screen, anywhere on the screen. And then if you get a dialogue up, you start swiping to the right with one finger, and you're going to go through all the options in the dialogue until you find the one you want. And when you get to there, you'll double tap with one finger, and it'll execute that option. So you just have to get used to navigating those dialogues. That's all.
I have a personal dislike for the message app. I think it's hard. Email's much easier to use.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah, okay, thanks.
You got it. You got it. Well, I think we're at the end. Let me see what time.
8:34 p.m.
It's 8:34. Are we all set? Is everybody asleep
Yeah.
yet?
They
Huh.
win and I'll
Are you
pull the
gonna-
plug.
Ask if there's any questions.
Oh,
anybody
I'm
have?
sorry. Yes, of course. Any questions about anything tonight, guys? Anybody? All right. Well, I guess we're ready unless you got something else, Barbara. I think I'm got all my topics talked about.
No, I think we covered it.
Well, okay, folks. Well, if that's the case, then thank you so much. John, thank you for hosting.
Yeah,
the meeting.
sure. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Right.